Hi everyone, it's Catch Magpie's YouTube channel. Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I'm going to be recapping the round 22, sorry, of the AFL season has just gone past. If you're returning Catch Magpies, welcome. If you're new to the channel and you're watching this for the first time, like, comment and subscribe. It means the world to me. On my journey to 200 subs, appreciate all the love and support that I can get out of this. So how I do this is pretty simple. I'll go through the games and I'll talk about it. So, Friday night form. Can the Giants upset the Tigers at Marvel, or can Richmond find its mojo? On Saturday, we had a couple good games. Can the Hawks surprise the Western Bulldogs in Tasmania, or will the Bulldogs keep their top 4 chances alive with a win down in Tasmania? Can the Cats continue their top 4 form, or will the Saints cause an upset for a top 8 finals berth? Brisbane Lions. Can the Brisbane Lions show why they're a top 4 team, or will Collingwood prove to be another underdog upset? Can North Melbourne upset the Swans in the finals race, or can the Swans prove how good they really are? Sunday's game, very crucial. Can Melbourne keep their top 4 chances alive and top 2 chances alive, or will Adelaide surprise Melbourne at the MCG? Will the Gold Coast Suns prove to be an upset against the Bombers, who are looking for a top 8 spot at down in Geelong? And not least but last, the Derby. Can Fremantle finally win the first Derby out of the 15 Derbies in a row, or can the Eagles prove to be a good team? Start off Friday night. This is going to be controversial in a couple of these calls as well. I think that the Giants were just too good, weren't they? They were quick. They beat Richmond on how Richmond would play, force them into mistakes. A lot of injuries that Richmond's had this year, and normally they could overcome it. This year, they ain't happening. And I tell you what else that Richmond need to do, that this is going to be so controversial in its call, is that it's going to be Richmond need to start rebuilding now. Playing the kids now, which they had to, but now if I were Richmond, I would play the kids and I will make a few tough calls next year. At the end of the season, as Bachar Houlie's been great, I think you have to make the tough call on him and make that as hard as possible. Trent Cotchin's been the star of the competition. I think he has to retire. Certainly the way that is. And Jack Riewoldt, obviously, he's been given a year contract. I think the following year, you give him next year, then after next year, I think you're going to have to say goodbye to him. Because 12 months that does go older, unfortunately, it's the way that teams are going to look at. So I think for next year, Richmond are going to play finals. We know that now. But the tough call has to be now of obviously culling some senior players and really delist a few now when you got the chance, as much as it does hurt. Hawthorn, absolutely terrific win. The facts are that Alistair Clarkson's got it, and it's just proving to it. Tasmania is proving on why we are in this situation as well, as much as anything. So if that was the case, we'll see on for the Western Bulldogs. Disappointing loss, we all know that, but this week's game's going to be so tough to be top 4. Definitely that's on the cards as much as possible. St Kilda had a 31-point margin in the first quarter and then choked to the Cats, which is like the way that, that the Cats, that you have to put them away. They're another team that if they don't win it this year, I think they're going to have to start rebuilding, and then rebuild's going to be massively long as well with the senior players that they picked up. They're going to have to make those tough calls because, when you get old in the AFL, you can play great footy, but the problem is the consistency of performance, and you don't see that in the Cats enough for that to be warrant. I think now that the senior players are going to have to make that, the calls have to be tough on them as much as possible, and it's going to hurt the club as well, but it's something to be done. Like, if it's not this year, when is it going to be? They keep trying to get players from other teams just to try and get that premiership. They haven't won one since 2011, and even though they missed out on 1 year in the finals, I think that's when they probably should start their rebuild and get up there. So I think that it's going to hurt them big time in this. Brisbane were just too good for my boys. Picked Brisbane, so I got the tip right. But again, not happy with our performance. I just like the way how the quarter half was alright from us, but Brisbane were just too strong. They were too good. They got us into make mistakes, and they capitalised on our mistakes. Our turnovers will really cost us in the end, and I think that's what's going to happen. So I'm not mad about playing the kids. It's just all about the effort, and you want to see the effort. Like I was watching that game early when the Hawks beat the Western Bulldogs, and on paper the Dogs are a really good team, but the Hawks, it's not all about like if you're on paper that you're a really good team where you're on the ladder. You want to see effort, and if you can perform effort consistently, that's why I think that it's going to happen as much as possible. So we are going to see that as the change that does come in as well. So it is very disappointing for us, but a game against Essendon, which is crucial for Essendon's chances, to be honest. Because if they want to play finals, last time that we were in this position back in 2017, and we managed to cause an upset as well. So hopefully this time around we can. What a win by the Sydney Swans. North Melbourne were brave all day. But credit to the Swans. Nick Blakely's out for the season, unfortunately. But you have to say North Melbourne got some good young kids coming through, and I love the way how they play. Really, really do. So it's a great effort. Let's see what happens as well on that. Sunday's game. Look, Adelaide were competitive, no doubt about that. But having said that, Melbourne were just too good in the end. And you have to give credit to where it's due for the Melbourne Football Club. Playing absolutely brilliantly well. What more can you say, realistically? 68-point win to Essendon against the Gold Coast Suns. Long season for that club, realistically is. But, you know what, it's something that you probably do expect that would happen late in the season. It's not as bad as what it seems like, but a rebounding Gold Coast Suns, you just never know these days as well. And Fremantle, they got off to a really good start. They were 30 points up at quarter time, I think half time. And the second half of that, the Eagles did come back. The problem that I have with the West Coast Eagles is that the way that you can beat for Fremantle team to perform like that was really well. But the question marks have to be on the Eagles because their game plan hasn't stacked up all year, hasn't it? The 20-point margin they came back against Richmond, I think looking back on it, they're probably lucky to win that. We actually smacked them as well. Credit to all us for that. But the way that you can beat West Coast is so easy. And same thing with Richmond. The game plan's not working now. And the fact is that West Coast have to make that tough call. That they're in the rebuild. They're going to have to start rebuilding. They're not going to make the 8 this year. It's possible with one game left, but Brisbane Lions is such a good team. And what tends to happen as well, the teams to start to pick you apart as well, and they know, and they've been building for like 3 or 4 years. So when they get their chance, eventually it's a sky high. And the West Coast Eagles, that they finished top 4 in 2015. For memory, that was as good as it was. They made a grand final. They got absolutely pants. 2016, they were 6th on the ladder, and they got beaten by the Western Bulldogs in the way to their grand final. 2017, they were 7th on the ladder, I think it was, or 8th on the ladder, and they ended up playing Port. I think one in extra time as well. So they made like the stage, the next stage, as much as possible. 2018, absolutely top 4, won the premiership that year. But since then, 5th in 2019, 5th in 2020 as well. Losing to Geelong in the semi-finals after, winning against Essendon in the elimination final, and then losing to us last year. And you think as well, they've still got a good list, they've still got a good team, top 4 chances. Top 4 chances surely has to be on the line this year. You think they're going to make it? Even I thought they were going to be top 4 after, disappointing in 2020, but it hasn't to become like that. And we had to rebuild and play the kids. We had to get the draft picks in just to be able to get the depth in the side. And now that we got the kids that are coming through, they're going on great. So I think that you have to back the kids in now and see how they go as much as possible. So with that, I think you have to be encouraging. Yes, we got smacked by the Brisbane Lions, but that was our worst loss for the season. We only lost by 30 points, and that was it. So I think looking back at West Coast, they have to start rebuilding now, because this list is just not good enough. The game plan is not good enough. Adam Simpson has to change it. He is responsible for the game plan. He is responsible for what goes on in his football club. Jeremy McGovern likes to play loose. He doesn't like playing on the man. As simple as that. You make him defend you, and you've got him. He likes to chop out and support as much as possible. So, have West Coast overachieved since 2014? I say they have, because they won the premiership, and yes, they've been in finals, but they're inconsistent in finals. They haven't had a good record, I don't think, with the finals records at the moment. And since 2018 as well, they've fallen a big hole. This year it's come as worse as it can get, and I think now the time is, like, for Shannon Hearn. Josh Kennedy has to retire. I think Shannon Hearn, who as well, I think it's time for him to hang up the boots. Jeremy McGovern will be next in the next year or two as well. Yes, West Coast have had their injuries, but that when they brought in the players, they were good for that while, and then after that, the same players came back. They've been far worse. The Tim Kelly trade, it has not worked at all. Saying that right now, it's cost them first round draft picks, I think, second round draft picks as well, so that hasn't helped. So massive calls has to happen at that football club, and even at Richmond right about now as well. So come at me at the comments, because I like to have this discussion. My opinion, it's over. Richmond aren't making finals next year. They just aren't. When you're out there for so long, guys, you've been lucky with success that they had. And if you have a look at Hawthorn, have a look at the Brisbane Lions, when you've won 3 in a row and you're going for your 4th, in Brisbane's case, they finished runners-up, and then they had this deep fall after that in 2005 and 2006 and onwards. Hawthorn, 2008, when they won their first flag, took them after 2 years to get back into the finals. 2011, prelim lost to us, and they ended up losing the grand final in 2012. 2013 to 2015, they won the premiership. Top 4, lost to the Cats in the first final, and then lost to the Western Bulldogs as well. Missed out in the finals, had that little mini rebuild, and as it turns out, it tends to be worse than that, so they got players in from other clubs as well, and it just hasn't worked, has it? So I think now Hawthorn are doing the right thing, going through this rebuild, making some tough calls on some of the senior players. Now it's time for Richmond and West Coast to do that now, and even Geelong. So that's my take on this round so far. I think that's what has to happen. We're not going to see any more flags for Richmond or West Coast at all. I think they're overrated. It's overrated as it is. Normally they're one of the best midfielders in the competition. But as I said, you can have the best midfield in the competition and mean stack shit. Gotta be able to work both ways. I think West Coast's game plan does come into effect. And the facts are they lost, even though they beat us early on that season up in Perth, but they've been such a poor side for a while. To lose to the Western Bulldogs twice, and you lose a close one, but then you can get absolutely smacked in that, in front of the no crowds. Even North Melbourne game, losing to North Melbourne doesn't help the case. As much as anything. So I think that the way that West Coast Eagles have played this year, it's not up to standards, and the standards have to be set high. But it's the same thing I can be said about Carlton. Like, they've got a good list, don't get me wrong, but have they oversold the list a little bit? The decisions that the board's made with the coaches, Teague will get the sack. That's pretty evident on that, with the facts in front of us right now, that he ain't going to survive. But the same way, I don't think Simpson and Hardwick will get the sack. I just think Richmond in for a rebuild. If I were Damien Hardwick, I'll be thinking, do I really want to go through this rebuild and start again? Or do I want to go to another club, help them out, fast track them into a premiership team as well? I know that that's not going to happen, but having said that, I think for Richmond and West Coast, finals are gone this year. Even the next couple years, start playing your kids and then work your way up to play finals again. That's how I would do it personally. Even with Geelong, they're going to have to make some tough calls. They're one of the oldest list in the competition with West Coast. And you can say, it's not that bad. At least West Coast played finals. But this year, and even Richmond, they're falling dramatically, because what tends to happen is that I'm not a coach or anything, but you look at how they play. Right? On how you stop Richmond is that you pressure them. You put them on the back foot. You take the possessions of the footy away, and they concede 120 marks a game. And even like the West Coast Eagles, if you take the ball away from them and you force them into, okay, well, we're going to play quickly and we're going to make sure that McGovern can't intercept and take an intercept mark, and the forward line can't take a mark at all, the pressure on the field is going to be too hard as well on top of that. So that's what I like to see. Now that the systems are getting broken down, and how you break down the system is by beating that system or playing that system to the opposition, and see how you go as well with the speed and pace. So, as much as I've rambled on a bit, come at me at the comments. I know you guys are going to do that. Until next time, like, comment, and subscribe. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your neighbours. Go the Pies. And 2022. See ya.